two different continents, two regimes. We have one massive target on the back of every American, whether live and live in color or digitally through cyber security type of stuff. We've got to talk about the grave warning that was just given to Americans, and not only in Iran, which is, if you're still in Iran and you're an American, why? You've been warned for years not to be there. But in Venezuela, if you're an American citizen still in Venezuela, you are being warned that there are a lot of reasons to get your ass up out the country. So first of all, the State Department just issued a depart immediate order for Venezuela if you're an American, warning that Americans are being hunted by roadblocks, and halfway across the world in Iran, there is a unalive strategy being done there by the citizens to help get rid of the regime, but Americans be damned if you're in the way there as well. That is even kind of like bleeding over here in the States with a protest that just happened in LA, where literally someone used a U-Haul truck to mow down some folks at an Iran protest. Let's unpack all that stuff. First, in Venezuela, if you are an American citizen still there, I don't know how you're seeing this video, but you should get your ass up out of there. The way that they are trying collectivos, I don't know how to name the name of those rebels that are creating roadblocks, but they're taking your cell phones. They're looking for evidence that you're an American, and whether it's your social media or whatever, they're forcing you to use your biometrics to unlock your devices. They're really getting down and dirty to figure out more about you. The roadblocks. The State Department is warning that pro-regime militias, the collectivos, have set up checkpoints at every major artery. They aren't looking for contraband. They're searching cars for American passports. Of course, it's advised that if you're staying in any country, you don't travel with your passport on a daily basis. You take a copy of it normally. But if you're leaving the country, yeah, you're supposed to have your passport with you. And they're going to be peeling that car apart like an onion, trying to figure out if you're an American citizen. That's something that you need to think about. Even like the countries that touch those. One moment, let me grind these coffee beans up. The thing is that the way they're targeting the folks is that the Americans are being pulled from vehicles, and you're basically being blamed to be a mercenary or possibly being a spy, and they're just deciding to detain you. They have one American that they've had detained since late December, and we're not sure of his whereabouts. Not sure why he was still in the country, but you have little recourse if you find your ass caught up in Venezuela. Right now, the consulate and the embassy are dark, although we did just send a collective of folks from the State Department there to see if we can reopen the embassy. It's not open yet, okay? And I know we quote unquote run the country, but we don't run it that much to the point where these collectivos are not able to stop folks on these roadways and figure out who the heck you are or you're not. So point number one, if you're there, be cautious. But it's not just that. There's also the digital trap. It's not just physical. The regime remaining security apparatus using Chinese built biometric techs at checkpoints are also trying to scan and see if you're an American as well. They're scanning phones and searching anything in connection to the U.S. military or government. They've also started to upwards on their cyber attacks. At least some of the wolves. I don't know if the regime themselves are thinking about that. And that's the biggest thing, is like, if you're thinking about if you still haven't protected your cyber footprint, this video is not sponsored by Aura, but that is who I use for that. Not only for the shit bag like data brokers, but just to give me like peace of mind. Especially I do public videos about this type of stuff, and I don't want my cyber footprint jeopardized. That's why I use them for that. But you should be thinking about the same thing. Is like, they don't have a lot of ways to reach out and touch us as Americans. They have to use different mechanisms to make that happen. But even beyond that, I do believe, in my opinion, listen, I'm gonna tell you something. You can't be my homie. You cannot be my friend if you don't at least believe in a little bit of conspiracy theory. You can't be my homie, because that means that you believe everything the government is or is not telling you, if you're not a conspiracy theorist. So I got a little bit of that in me. One of the conspiracy theories that I kind of believe is I do believe there's no way that when Maduro was in charge of Venezuela, he was not purposely letting out some criminals and deadbeats and either help facilitate them get them ways to America or making it a lot easier for them to get themselves to America. Because wouldn't you want some of those folks not to be a headache on your country and rather be a headache on ours? This is just me talking to my father-in-law and just looking at the uptick of Trinidad and Tobago here in the country, and just that's just my opinion. And so I am fearful that as we continue, as we go in and we got the regime change going on, I do believe that even if it's a little bit, that different folks here in the States could be triggered, could be activated by us just simply going in and attacking their homeland. And that does bring me pause, especially as we see ICE going around from city to city. I don't think they're going to go, they being like Venezuelan thugs, they're not going to go where ICE is at. I think they're going to go where places where ICE is not necessarily conducting business at the moment. So I do believe that there is a possibility when it comes to Venezuela overall. As an American, you need to be protecting yourself, whether it's being vigilant, not going places you don't need to go right now, or your digital footprint. Both of those are prevalent. A lot of Venezuelans are still loyal to the regime and they're butthurt. Butthurt Venezuelans are on deck. You got to think about that. But the enemy of God charge is what's going on in Iran right now. Tehran's attorney general just declared that anyone protesting is an enemy of God, a death penalty offense. And he means that for not only the folks in Iran, but also if you are supporting tearing down the regime in other places as well. Do you think it's a coincidence that it almost looks false flaggy that a U-Haul truck had tear down with the regime type of propaganda on the side of the truck and all this type of stuff will lead you to believe that they were for the protest, but they went barreling down the middle of a protest in LA today. The protest was all about getting rid of the Ayatollah, getting rid of the regime, and that guy just knew he was going to get beat down, arrested, and gave 0 Fs. That says a lot. That says that I believe that the targeting of Americans, any of the folks that want the downing of the Ayatollah, specifically Americans, because President Trump has definitely said he is down to help Iranians possibly get the freedom for the first time ever taking a sip of this espresso. Yeah, that's going to help me with this edit. So we got the enemy of God factor, which they determine who the heck the enemy of God is. Then we also have the President Trump factor. This is all with the Iran thing. So President Trump has been a vocal promising to intervene or shoot if the regime continues mass killing of protesters. This is exactly what the IRGC wants. I've said this in the last video. The fastest way to get support behind you in a country is to have yourself attacked. If you're attacked, a lot of people can all of a sudden turn course and support the country. It happens a lot. And the IRGC wants to use that for a reason to not only clamp down on protesters, but some of the protesters that will flip over and support the Ayatollah again, they want that. And I personally don't know if this is somewhere we want to intervene. What I don't understand is why is it always us? There's over 200 countries in the world. There are other countries that got big bad militaries. There are other countries that are considered the West. We're not the only country considered the West. Why is it us? Especially we are 7,000 miles away from Iran, if not more. We are the ones that have to make that type of strike. Now, I know we have the assets in the region, but we'll talk about that here in a second. We're already doing more bombing campaigns against ISIS in Syria, so it takes nothing but a flip of a switch to send those planes over to Iran. And also, Israel would jump in and help and have our backs as well. But what I don't understand is why is it always us? But Iranians are banking that it will be us for this particular help that they're looking for when it comes to the regime itself. The baiting strategy, blaming the Americans, blaming Israel for the chaos is exactly what Iran is known for. They're attempting to frame their brutal crackdown as defense against evasion. They are trying to provoke a U.S. strikes, unify the people against the external enemy, using the Venezuelan model as a warning to their own citizens. The Venezuelan model is America came in, made us throw up and shit ourselves. They took the president, and look at us now. Now we have to do whatever the Americans say. That's what the IRGC is attempting to convey to its own people. Will that work? I don't know, but I think that that's something to think about. But bigger picture, targeted retaliation is something I'm very, very concerned with. When it comes to Maduro, and this is a Cuban number 4, and this thing is pretty good. When it comes to Maduro, every single American is now a bargaining chip to those loyal to Maduro to hopefully get the release of him. Now, there's no way in heck that any American citizen is more valuable right now to the Trump administration than President Maduro. Just keeping it real. That American that's trapped in Venezuela, unfortunately, sir, they're not going to trade you for Maduro. You got to be high up there for that. You have to think there is a possibility that anyone could be a target, especially if they think you're important enough. That's the Venezuela strategy. The Iran strategy in Tehran, they are escalating because they are afraid of what's next. They are targeting U.S. interests and baiting a conflict to show they aren't as vulnerable as the Venezuelans are. In the 1950s, we were a part of regime change in Iran along with the British. And could it happen all over again? Yeah, it could, especially with the folks that are in charge. But I'm telling you all this information not to just regurgitate what's on the news, but to really kind of bring you to light to, if you put yourself in situations, whether you purposely want to go protest, you have to be around those areas, you find yourself traveling internationally, you have an unsecured cyber footprint, you got to take a look at that shit. We have to keep it real that our leaders have a lot of energy right now when it comes to using the military. We successfully extracted Maduro up out of Venezuela. It's reported that up to 2,000 people have been killed in Iran, and President Trump does not look like looking weak by saying he will do something and then not do it when it comes to the military. He likes a one and done type of strike stuff, though, so I don't see us doing a lot of stuff in Iran, but I see us doing something. He's already threatening to saying we're going to get Greenland. They're either going to do it the easy way or the hard way. You have got to take him at his word and believe that he is being serious. And the more serious our leadership is being, the more you have to definitely look out after yourself when it comes to being attacked individually and a part of any of this stuff. Look at what's going on in Iran, how that can boil over and cost us more treasure, hopefully not cost us blood. But the thing that really concerns me about that area is that right now in the Middle East, specifically the Mediterranean, we do not have a carrier strike group in the area. Okay, the Gerald R. Ford is in the Caribbean. And our other carrier strike groups, it would take at least 2 or 3 days to get in the area. So to launch a successful mission to where they could be supported, we really should have a carrier strike group somewhere in the area. So I don't think anything's going to happen before Tuesday, the 13th of January, in my opinion, but I could be wrong about that. I believe that 2026 is going to be one of the most chaotic, kinetic years ever. And it's going to really be up to you to protect yourself from needless situations. Don't go to the protest if you don't have to. Don't find yourself out there in certain areas, especially after dark. Don't travel to certain parts of the world. If they have a vendetta against Americans, make sure your prep is up. Just these are things I'm always examining. I have to go to Vegas in a few days. I'm going to be at SHOT Show. Holla at your boy if you find me there. But I have to be vigilant there as well. I'm almost to the point where I'm highly contemplating SHOT Show, and everywhere that I go, where can I bring a gun? Well, SHOT Show, you know, whatever. Where should I stay? Where should I go? It's all things that I think about. I don't want you to take lightly the Venezuela or the Iran thing, because they are real. Geopolitics is getting loud. The noise is coming from the barrel of a gun. And right now those guns are being deployed or not here, but just be cautious, because things can become kinetic here sooner than later. Now, shout out to other folks that do this type of content, but I don't want to think that I'm fancying myself like, no offense, the Canadian prepper and those chaos candidates on the internet. This is just me literally peeling back the onion and seeing what could happen based on what recently happened. And if you don't prepare for that shit, then you're being naive. Stay informed, stay frosty. And for God's sake, if you are in Venezuela, get out while the roads are still open. Be cautious. and just don't be doing the most. First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.